Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another one of our live sessions. My name is Adrian Montano. I'm a trainer and excellence coach at MindGrasp, and it's my pleasure to have you over and to continue the series that I began earlier this week, dispelling some very common misconceptions about hypnosis. And as we've been delving deeper and deeper inside this field, and we've been talking about the things that people think they get right with respect to hypnosis, but that don't really work that way. I've realized that it's more and more important to talk about the purpose and the way the unconscious mind works in tandem with the conscious mind and the unconscious mind itself, because it is one of the main basis, and understanding the proper workings of the unconscious mind, its roles, and what in the jargon of the field we call the prime directives of the unconscious mind, would allow you to best use it for your overall thriving in life, for quicker learning, for behavioral change that is really quick and lasting, and for overall just getting better at life and constantly tweaking and improving everything that you do in accordance with your purpose. So today I want to go even into more detail about what I've just mentioned, the prime directives of the unconscious mind. And I don't think we'll have enough time to cover it all today, so I'll actually continue over the following days. Actually, in the practitioner course, this is one of the most important segments at the very beginning of the whole course, because it's one of the pillars upon which all the techniques, all the key attitudes, beliefs, and practices in neurolinguistic programming, in timeline therapy, and obviously in hypnosis are based on. Oh, hello, Alexandra, welcome. So the first prime directive of the unconscious mind is that it preserves all memories, all your memories, all the time. Now, at one point, I gave a talk about the communication model and how second by second, and this is detailed in Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's book, Flow, which is also translated into Romanian for those who want to access it more quickly. Oh, hello, Alexandra, welcome. In Mihai's book, he talks about how second by second our nervous system receives an input of 10 up to 12 million bytes of information. That's a huge amount. I mean, it would be enough to fully overload a 256 gigabytes phone in a matter of hours. And yet our nervous receives that second by second. And obviously we can't handle it all. Oh, hello, Ana Maria, welcome. We can't handle it all at the same time consciously, and so we filter it out. And we're left with 134 bits per second consciously. But the unconscious mind pays attention to all the rest in case it might prove useful in the future. And it stores it all the time. And in fact, scientists and people of thinking in general, way before science worked as science the way we know it nowadays, way before the scientific methods existed per se, wondered where exactly our memory is stored. And the perspective of science is obviously, well, they have to be stored somewhere in the body. And so there were experiments starting with the 1950s. There were very specific experiments on rats, lab rats, to try and find where exactly memories are stored in the body. So there was a specifically famous experiment at the University of Pennsylvania, and I think it was delivered by a doctor called Penfield. And he tested on rats that had learned how to run a specific maze and get to their prize, to the cheese. And although it's not that pleasant to mention it, and probably nowadays it would be done quite differently, but at the time what they started doing was removing piece by piece of the rats' brains, of their main brain, and see if they still remember how to run the maze. And they did that all the way to only leaving the brainstem and the cerebellum to support, their main bodily functions, and to allow them to move, and they could still run the maze. And the thing is, the conclusion that they came to was that memories were not located somewhere specifically in the brain, but rather in the whole body. And in fact, we know that there are both receptors for neurotransmitters in every single cell of the body. And so the messages and the input coming from the brain goes simultaneously, well, almost simultaneously throughout the whole body and is perceived by every cell in the body. So especially a highly emotionally charged event would be perceived, and it would be worthwhile to be remembered by the whole body. And so the understanding that we've come to is that, oh, hello Florina, welcome. The understanding that we've come to is that memories are stored, one would say, holographically in the whole body. And the way a hologram works is that, unlike a regular image, if you start cutting it in pieces, the quality of the image might diminish, but you don't get 2/2 or 3/3, etc. Hello, Juana, welcome. Of the same image, every single piece of the image contains the whole. And so every cell contains the whole. Hello, Raluca, welcome. Every piece of us, every cell contains the memories of the whole. And now we also have ample evidence from other experiments that memories, and especially highly emotionally charged memories, hello Alexandra, welcome, can be passed down from generation to generation. So that supports the fact that it's not just the brain, but actually it's our whole body, our whole physical structure that remembers things. And that's how the unconscious mind remembers all. So another thing the unconscious mind does, and I've already mentioned emotions, it is the domain of our emotions. If our conscious, rational, logical mind communicates through words and through straightforward linear thinking, our unconscious mind is very highly receptive and communicates to us through emotions. It delivers, and it can deliver based on all that perception that is outside of our conscious focus. It can deliver an insight in the form of an emotion. Hello, Adriana and Andrei, welcome as well. So that's what it does. And understanding, recognizing, becoming aware of the emotions that our unconscious mind delivers to us, recognizing what they are and acting accordingly is, in fact, I think, one of the most important, one of the key elements of emotional intelligence. It's the very starting point. And it's essential for us to adapt to our environment. There was actually a very famous case. Hello, Beatrice. There was a very famous case where a Formula One racer, a Formula One driver, at one point he was leading his race, but he all of a sudden stopped and veered off the course. And when people were examining the tapes of the event, they asked him, well, how did you know it was all right to stop? And he said, well, come to think of it, I didn't. Because what was actually happening, there was another car, there was another vehicle that was having problems later along the path. And if he had continued at the same speed, hello, Bogdan, welcome. He would have crashed directly into it. So he had just a moment's inspiration to stop. And he said that he didn't realize why, he just had a gut feeling to do it. And this is actually a very common experience with people, especially sportsmen, who are very much in tune with their bodies, and the unconscious mind, and this is something we'll get to later, is also in charge with all the functioning of the body and transmits the emotional input through the body. It's a very common experience, hello Christina, welcome, to be aware of such intuitive hunches and act upon them on a moment's notice without consciously being able to know what was happening. And the tapes of the event rendered the fact that the crowd had stopped looking in the direction they were usually looking, so at the racing cars, and they had started looking towards the direction of the other vehicle, to which this car of the driver who stopped was about to collide with. And so beyond conscious awareness, he realized what the crowd was doing, although his main focus was on the road, and he was able to stop in time. His unconscious mind gave him this jolt, this hunch, this intuition that something wasn't right. And this is a question that I very often get at this point, because people would say, well, wait a minute, how do I know something is an intuition? Because I've listened to hunches and intuitions, and I've gotten into a whole lot of trouble. And I concur, that's happened to me, but what I would introduce here is a key difference between a vehement, overpowering negative emotion, which is probably connected to a trigger that doesn't really have anything to do with your best purpose, and what is actually a hunch, an intuition delivered as, a complex feedback from your unconscious mind based on everything that it perceives outside of your conscious awareness. It perceives and stores. And so if that intuition comes in the form of, a very clear, calm thought, okay, run with it, work with it. If it doesn't, if it comes in the form of a very, very vehement emotion, you might want to look into that trigger. And we'll actually, in the following sessions, we're going to go get to what exactly you can do about it and how you can process those triggers so that instead of holding you back, they allow you a calm, clear frame of mind. Hello, Paula. Welcome to our sessions. So another thing the unconscious mind does, it not only stores all emotions, but it organizes them. And the way it does so is using timeline and the gestalt mechanics. Now, this might seem a bit complex, but I'll get to it in a second. It's actually very straightforward. One of the techniques that I work with with my clients is timeline therapy. I've been trained in timeline therapy, which is a technique created by Tad James, the founder of the NLP school that I've prepared with. And it's a technique that allows for clearing major negative emotions from the past, as well as limiting beliefs about ourselves. Major negative emotions, or even less so, than like anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, and whatever others might be. Limiting beliefs such as, well, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve X, I can't do such and such thing, for instance, I can't do public speaking, I can't swim, I can't run my own business, I can't make the money I want, etc. Now, and this is a thing that's important to underline, removing negative emotions and limiting beliefs doesn't in and of itself immediately get you to the result that you want, but it enables you to get the skills that you need in order to get yourself there. It enables you to learn whatever you need to learn, but this time, quickly and with a natural feeling of ease, rather than feeling like you're somewhat going against the wind, against the current. So the unconscious mind organizes emotions according to this symbol of the timeline, and it's the way the unconscious mind makes the difference between something that happened yesterday, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or 5 years ago, and something that's happening right now. And the gestalt is basically, I think the best way to describe it is kind of like a string of beads. And the string is the common theme or the common emotion that all the beads, which are memories, share. So there is a gestalt for anger, there is a gestalt for fear, but there's also a gestalt for happiness. that we have. A gestalt for joy, a gestalt for laughter, which is one of my favorite states and emotions. And those of you who know me personally know I really, really enjoy it. And I use it as well in both in my trainings and in pretty much everything I do. I do my best to infuse it with laughter. The Gestalt holds those memories together. Now, what we do with timeline therapy, we discover what the first event was, where that emotion was present. And when you get the learnings for that very first event, basically that allows you to get rid of the emotion, because the unconscious mind has no more purpose to hold on to the negative emotion. But it does so not just for the first event, it does so for all of the events at the same time. Hello, Catalina, welcome. And that's the beauty of the process and what makes it so brilliant in helping people overcome things that they might have experienced for years and years and not been able to get past, but to let go of them in a matter of minutes, and what to the external world might seem miraculous, but it's simply a natural process of the unconscious mind. And so letting go, organizing all memories is something the unconscious mind does. Now, another thing it does in order to protect us is to repress memories that have negative, unresolved emotions. So you experience an event, let's say somebody tramples on your boundaries, somebody mistreats you in a way that is in complete disagreement with your values, and you don't know what to do about it at that specific time, and you're left with a lot of anger or similar feelings, and anger tends to predominate in such circumstances. The unconscious mind will preserve that anger and will actually subtly guide you towards situations where you will experience that same pattern again until you learn the lesson, until you learn what you need to do in order to uphold your boundaries, and thus there won't be no more point for the anger. The unconscious mind just lets it go. Hello, Yonus, welcome. So that is one of the main purposes of the unconscious mind, repressing the memories with unresolved negative emotions. But at the same time, what the unconscious mind does, hello Laura, welcome. What the unconscious mind does is it presents us with those memories when it feels that we have what it takes for us to deal with them. And this is, a very common experience that people have. So they work really hard all year round, and then finally summer holiday comes up and they go on summer holiday looking forward to relax. And now that they go on summer holiday, hi Robert, welcome. They go on summer holiday and all of a sudden emotions flare up. Something happens at the airport or on the way to their resort. Hello, Dragos, welcome to our sessions, and Vlad as well. Something happens, or they get into an argument with the people they're traveling with. And all of a sudden, it feels like, oh my goodness, I should be on holiday, I should be relaxing, but all of this stuff is coming up. And that's, just the unconscious mind perceiving that now you're in a context where you no longer need to focus on work per se, and you're just able to take care of that negative emotion. It presents it to you and allows you to get the learnings from it. But most people don't. But that's actually something I will talk about in one of my following sessions. What exactly can we do with such situations, and what does a learning really mean? Because it's quite different from what most people imagine. It's simple, and at the same time it's different, and it makes all the difference when it comes to processing emotions, moving on and getting to more exciting places in life, and growing, progressing towards whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And finally, what the unconscious mind does is it holds memories repressed. So all those memories with unresolved negative emotions, it holds them repressed until we come to a point where it perceives that, it can present them to us. And if there is one key takeaway that I'd like to leave you with from our talk today, is pay attention. Remember, pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to what your unconscious mind wants you to focus on through your emotions. And ask yourself, whenever unwanted negative emotions come up, whenever your anger might flare up, or whenever you might feel that you're getting into an inappropriately sad place, or you feel guilty about something you've done in the past, or even you feel fear or anxiety coming up, ask yourself, what exactly is it that I'm not doing right now, but I should be doing instead, that my unconscious mind is asking me to pay attention to? Even asking yourself, what do I need to pay attention to that I'm not paying attention to right now, would shift your focus and would open up the perspective for you to take meaningful action, so that you move away from a place where that emotion is present. Hello, Ioana, welcome. So that concludes our first talk about the prime directives of the unconscious mind, and we'll delve more into it in the following sessions. But I'm very grateful and happy to have you all here gathered up and hopefully making conscious and deliberate use of all this information. Please share with us, share with the class, so to say, whatever challenges you've experienced, or the meaningful ways in which you might have already made this work for you. Share it with us in the comments, and let's start a conversation about it. After all, as I often like to say, we're all in this together. We're all in this learning process together. And the power of all of our minds combined is far greater and far more insightful than just the combined sum of putting them all together. So, once again, I'm very happy to have had you here. Until next time, I am yours truly, Adrian Montano, trainer and excellence coach at MindGrasp. Wishing you a wonderful evening and a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye.